Hello, dear listeners, friends, and our culture community. Today, I'm excited to bring you a special episode featuring my longtime friend and fellow artist, Nami Ueno. We first met in Toronto around 2017, shortly after I arrived in the city in Toronto. That same year, we both received the RBC Award for Newcomers Artists, and this really helped us instantly connect. And since then, we stayed in contact, in touch, and collaborated on several projects, including the art group exhibition I created in 2020-24, and now this special episode. I recently recommend Nami Ueno for an interview with a magazine called Ball Journey, and she kindly agreed to provide me with an audio response to the writing interview, which you can now read while listen to this artist's voice. So I hope you can enjoy as much as I enjoy it. And a little bit about Nami. Nami is a visual artist from Japan. She worked across installation and drawing. She used paper as a metaphor for memory, engaging with the themes connecting to the human body and mental condition. She's an amazing artist, and recently she received the Tom Phillips Prize in installation. So congratulations, dear friend, again and again. And I am very grateful to Nami for being part of this special episode. So I hope you enjoy, friends. And now, welcome Nami to this space.
Creativity has been part of my life since I was 15, when I began formal art training in Japan, driven by both joy and escape. Even then, making art felt like a place I could go when life became difficult to carry. That relationship never disappeared. It simply evolved as my life did. Over the years, creativity took many forms. I passed the competitive art university entrance exam in Japan, then moved through marriage, divorce, and single motherhood at a young age. Later, I opened and ran an English school and taught for many years before eventually moving to Canada. There were periods when art became quieter, but creativity remained constant, helping me adapt, build, and move forward when certainty wasn't available. In the years leading up to my second husband's passing in Canada, I was developing a project called The Forest of Memories. When he became seriously ill, my world narrowed. I prepared for the work quietly at home, in fragments, knowing my attention needed to stay close to him. After he passed, I returned to the studio and worked almost every day for 6 weeks. Being there felt healthier than staying home alone. I couldn't carry the weight of being alone at home, and working gave my days a rhythm when everything else felt unstable. What keeps my creativity alive now is trust. I no longer force it or measure it by productivity. I show up, make space, and allow the work to unfold at its own pace. Creativity has carried me through many lives, and I've learned that staying faithful to it matters more than controlling its outcome. I work primarily in installation and painting. For my installations, I create soft sculptures from wire, cotton strings, and paper, often composed of many small paper-cut forms. My process is slow and repetitive, and meaning emerges through accumulation over time. The work carries the weight of memory, shaped not by a single object, but by many small gestures existing together. Memory is central to my practice. I'm drawn to washi, shoji, and hanshi paper, materials that feel familiar, almost bodily. They absorb liquid, stain easily, and hold traces of touch and time. I dye paper and string with natural or edible materials such as tea, coffee, or plant extracts. For me, these materials act as metaphors for the body, quietly holding marks that become memory and personal history. Alongside installation, I paint in several styles. At this point, what feels most important is integration. I finally have the time and space to focus deeply on my practice, allowing different parts of my work to exist together. without forcing them into a single direction. I'm intentionally stepping away from outcome-driven thinking, selling work, winning opportunities, or meeting expectations, and turning inward to ask what I genuinely want to make. Recently, my works, 2020 and the Forest of Memories, were selected for exhibition at the Japanese-Canadian Cultural Center. They are part of a 3-artist exhibition titled Motherhood, curated by Hitoko Okada, running from March 8th to May 10th. This exhibition feels meaningful as a point of connection between personal memory, cultural context, and a place. At this stage in my life, my practice feels less about producing and more about listening to materials, to time, and to what wants to emerge next. Looking back, 3 qualities have shaped my journey more than anything else: consistency, the ability to listen, and adaptability. Consistency has been essential. My life has changed many times across countries, careers, and roles. But what sustained my creative practice was returning to it again and again, even when I couldn't give it much time or energy. I learned that progress doesn't come from intensity, but from showing up in small, steady ways. For those early in their journey, my advice is simple. Don't wait for ideal conditions. Work regularly, even if the work feels incomplete or imperfect. Listening is another skill that deepened over time. Early in my practice, listening came naturally, but as I began thinking more about productivity and selling work, my focus shifted toward technique and outcomes. For a while, I moved faster than the work itself. Looking back, 3 qualities have shaped my journey more than anything else: consistency, the ability to listen, and adaptability. Consistency has been essential. My life has changed many times across countries, careers, and roles. But what sustained my creative practice was returning to it again and again, even when I couldn't give it much time or energy. I learned that progress doesn't come from intensity, but from showing up in small, steady ways. For those early in their journey, my advice is simple. Don't wait for ideal conditions. Work regularly, even if the work feels incomplete or imperfect. Listening is another skill that deepened over time. Early in my practice, listening came naturally, but as I began thinking more about productivity and selling work, my focus shifted toward technique and outcomes. For a while, I moved faster than the work itself. Over time, I began to notice that people were often drawn more strongly to my earlier work, pieces made when I was paying closer attention rather than trying to produce. That realization led me back to listening, to materials, to my own physical and emotional responses, and to what the work itself was asking for. This kind of listening can't be rushed. It develops through patience, attention, and allowing uncertainty to exist without immediately trying to resolve it. Adaptability has been crucial, especially as life demanded reinvention. I moved between roles: artist, teacher, single parent, immigrant, and learned that creativity doesn't belong to only one form. Being adaptable allowed me to carry my creative thinking into different contexts and later bring it back into my art practice with greater depth. For anyone starting out, I'd say don't be afraid of detours. They often become part of your language later. Together, these qualities taught me that a creative life isn't built in a straight line. It's shaped by persistence, attention, and the willingness to grow alongside change.